Alright, today's video is all about the mysterious Disney World changes that are just now coming to light. Huge consistent crowds, the airport train mystery, new rides, and all the construction and demolition happening. What is actually going on? We've got answers and plenty of tips today on DFV Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. As we start to talk about these major Disney World updates and changes and actual mysteries, expect some pro advice that will ensure you will dodge any danger on your trip. But let's also switch things up a little bit and play a fun little game today. There are 7 confusing points we're going to be talking about. After you're done watching the video, drop what you think is the most confusing of them all. Let's see which point deserves the title of biggest chaotic mess of 2022. I'm super interested to see what y'all end up voting on because I have a feeling we'll have quite the mix, but maybe you'll prove me wrong. Now, why don't we start with one of the mysteries that I think everyone is asking about? What about these new rides, these restaurants, and all the construction and demolition? Is Epcot still Walcott? When are these rides opening? When do I plan my trip so that I can ride Tron? All right, Disney World is a mega construction zone right now, and still, every park is building or demolishing or refurbishing something or some things. And while some of those projects have some semblance of a timeline, others are a bit more mysterious, and then there are some that have been shelved entirely. Over in Magic Kingdom, we're still waiting on the official opening of the new Tomorrowland high-speed coaster Tron Light Cycle Run, which was originally announced back in 2017. Yep, that's right. We've been waiting about 5 years for this one. There are babies that have been born that can talk now and walk and are going to kindergarten since we were told about this coaster. Now, although we're still waiting on an exact release date, Disney did show us the first ever full-speed test run of the Tron coaster this past May. And in June, Walt Disney Imagineering posted some sneak peeks of the coaster's nighttime lighting, which very much resembles one of those glow cubes that you pay an extra $4 for in your drink, and then it cycles through a bunch of different colors. Now, here's a tip on those. There's a button on the bottom that lets you change the colors and the color pattern. And if you bring them home, you can put them in your kid's bathtub and turn off the lights, and then they can have rave baths, which are super cool. Now, when construction on Tron first started, the Walt Disney World Railroad, which travels around Magic Kingdom, went dark, and it's remained out of service ever since. But much like Tron, Disney's been reassuring us that the train will be back up and running eventually. It's even got a nice little paint job, so it'll look super sleek upon its return. So when are the Railroad and Tron going to reopen? That's a mystery. Though with the testing currently happening, I'm hoping it's by the end of the year. Historically, Disney has been known to do ride openings in early December. Recently, we finally got an update on the Splash Mountain retheme to Tiana's Bayou Adventure is projected to open around late 2024. But for now, you can still ride the original Splash Mountain for a little while longer because there's no word yet on when the rides will be shuttered for refurbishment in Disneyland or Disney World. We also don't know if both will be closed at the same time. And then there's Epcot, which has been Walcott Construction Central for years. We've honestly started to forget what Epcot looked like before all the construction walls. Though many of the construction projects have come to fruition, we've got Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is open, the new Connections area with the flagship gift shop Creations and fast food restaurant Starbucks, and the renovated Club Cool. There are still quite a few projects in the works or maybe not happening at all. The immersive walkthrough attraction Journey of Water inspired by Moana, that's in major construction mode right now, but alas, still no clear timeline on when we can begin traveling through this path of enchanted water. And other projects like Epcot's Festival Center haven't had a whole lot of new updates other than the fact that this will be a space that'll improve your festival experiences tenfold with more concerts, more food booths, and more hands-on artistic expressions. But they have been confirmed as happening, so we'll keep an eye on that. But other projects like the Play Pavilion, Mary Poppins attraction, the wondrous China Circle Vision film, and Spaceship Earth refurbishment have been put on pause until further notice, and Mary Poppins might have been shelved altogether. Now over in Hollywood Studios, we're preparing to dine at yet another barbecue location, Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, which is set to open this year, but the exact date here is still fuzzy too. Same goes for the return of the epic nighttime spectacular Fantasmic Imagination should reopen later this year. Now, there are so many more projects around the hotels, Disney Springs, and even the water parks, but Disney's always pretty hesitant on releasing exact timelines for when these are going to be 100% donezo. And that's just in case they need to push back a deadline or, something completely unexpected happens like a global pandemic that derails a project in a way they weren't expecting. So some pro tips for this. If you're wanting to know more about an upcoming change or updated timeline for a certain Disney experience, you can always search for specific rides and attractions on the Disney World website. At the top of an attractions page, you'll be able to see the latest updated information in orange text. For example, if you look up Splash Mountain right now, the text is going to tell you about Tiana's Bayou Adventure retheme and that it's projected to reopen in 2024. But if you're not looking to go on a scavenger hunt each time you're curious about updated ride news, then sign up for our DFB newsletter. We're going to send you the latest and greatest straight to your inbox. We'll drop the sign up link in the description below. Now, this next Disney park has been canceled for good. Let me just say this right now. Disney has canceled their deal with the Brightline high-speed train that was slated to have a station at Disney Springs, delivering guests swiftly to Disney property from the Orlando International Airport. And as confusing as it was to hear about initially, since Disney had made a really big deal about this being another transportation option for guests flying into the airport, there's a logical explanation with a massive plot twist. According to Disney spokesperson Avery Mayer, in an interview conducted by the Orlando Business Journal, Disney had to step away from the project after Brightline switched up their train route, which wouldn't be compatible with a Disney Springs station. Now, was this a bad move on Brightline's part? Not really. Laying down the platform for the plot twist here. You see, there were a couple of different routes the train bigwigs could have chosen, and the first would have taken riders on a direct route toward Disney World. However, the second route, the one they ended up taking instead, saved Brightline money through a leasing deal while also speeding up the construction process. But here's the plot twist. Universal Orlando also played a big part in the rerouting. Universal offered to donate land and funds if the train chose this alternate path. Why? Because it's going to take guests to their upcoming park instead, Epic Universe. Dun dun dun. Now, let's talk pro tips on this one. Though there won't be a direct train station at Disney Springs, Brightline is still planning to build a nearby stop, so guests could still technically get near to Disney Springs when this train is finished, but you'd still need to find another means of getting the rest of the way to the Disney shopping district or to your hotel from there. So that's a lot of hauling of your luggage, in my humble opinion. I'm just picturing people dragging their bags from rando train station over to Disney Springs right now. That being said, you've still got a few different ways to get directly from the airport to the Disney bubble today. First, there's the Mears Connect, which is the same service that used to operate Magical Express. Moment of silence, please. Then you've got the Sunshine Flyer, which is a bus that looks like a train. So if you're super into trains, then there you go. Both of these shuttle services are premium, so you will have to pay for standard or express rides ahead of time. You can check out both of the shuttles' websites for further rates and reservations. And you've also got the option to forge your own path and forget the shuttle services entirely. So rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft, they allow you to purchase a car ride ASAP that'll take you straight to your hotel. No reservations necessary. The prices for these rides do fluctuate day by day, so sometimes they may be cheaper than either of the shuttles, and sometimes they may not be. But either way, they're a last-minute option for you to consider. And don't forget, you can always take a cab, too. Sometimes cab prices are going to be lower than rideshare prices. Or you can rent a car. This is definitely the priciest of the options, but it does give you the freedom to travel where you want, when you want, and how you want on property. Good plan for someone who wants to spend a little time outside the Disney bubble, like at Legoland or Universal. Now, ready for this next point? Because it can be just as infuriating as it is confusing. How many times are the rules for Genie Plus gonna change? Okay, Genie Plus can be fantastic. Like when I was able to get my kid and me individual lightning lanes for his first ride on Guardians of the Galaxy last week, and we got Tears for Fears, which is the hands down best song. I won't be taking any more questions at this time. And it can be exhausting too, like when I had to keep checking the next lightning lane time for Rock and Roller Coaster every 10 minutes until it finally reached a time that we would be able to go. Ever since the itinerary planning tool launched on the My Disney Experience app last year, we've been dealing with a never-ending learning curve. In 2021, we were learning all about the 3 tiers of the planning service, including the premium line bypassing system and the complimentary tip boards, as well as the weird rules surrounding when exactly you could reserve your next lightning lane, which are, of course, the shorter ride queues you access when you purchase the premium Disney Genie services. In general, Disney Genie Plus worked a lot like Disneyland's former Max Pass service. However, every time we thought we got the swing of things, another rule or change seemed to pop up out of nowhere and make us relearn everything. For example, there are 2 premium services available on the Disney Genie tool. The first is Disney Genie Plus, which gives you Lightning Lane access to almost all of the rides around the park for $15 per person. And the second is individual Lightning Lane selections, which gives you Lightning Lane access to the most popular rides that aren't featured in that $15 price you pay for the regular Genie Plus. Instead, you'll have to pay a fluctuating price per person per ride. But here's the thing, the pay-per-ride options changed up this year. Not only was the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind added to the pay-per-ride lineup, but between February 25th and August 7th, previous a la carte selections like Frozen Ever After and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Epcot, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in Hollywood Studios, Space Mountain in Magic Kingdom, and Expedition Everest in Animal Kingdom would be available under the regular Genie Plus tier instead. This isn't the first time this has happened, by the way. And when we were allowed to purchase the premium Disney Genie options also changed. Initially, you could tack on the Genie Plus service onto your theme park ticket price, but starting June 8th, that came to a screeching halt. Now you can only buy Genie Plus on the day of your visit starting at midnight, and you can't buy it in bulk, like for every day of your trip at one time, anymore. You gotta buy it every individual day. So why is Disney trying to overcomplicate a seemingly already complicated system? According to Disney, many of their changes help them manage the incredibly strong demand guests have shown for Disney Genie Plus, which is code for the Lightning Lanes are getting too long, so we have to regulate it somehow. Oh, and by the way, Disney Genie Plus can now sell out, when Disney stated at the outset that it wouldn't and couldn't sell out. So yeah, this one is a little hard to keep under your thumb. So you want some pro tips for this? We got them. The moral of this story is that Genie Plus is mutable, very much so. The rules will continue to change as necessary for Disney to keep the gears turning and availability of these line bypassing options as broad as possible. The DFB website constantly updates with any and all Disney Genie changes we hear about. And before you ask, yes, we frequent that page daily because there's almost always something that needs to be modified. So thanks for that, Disney. But aside from what we keep up with, you should get some hands-on experience with this online planning tool before your vacation. You'll be able to find it on the My Disney Experience app. Just tap on the plus icon at the bottom of the app's screen, then tap View My Genie Day and Tip Board. You may come to find that even if you don't want to invest in the premium Genie Plus or individual Lightning Lane entries, you'll still want to use the free version of Disney Genie for a little extra help when building your Disney World itinerary, because you can check out forecasted wait times throughout the day, figure out which table service restaurants still have walk-up waitlist availability, which can be a great way to snag a table for a popular restaurant on the day of your visit, and generally plan your day overall. So Disney Genie might be around for good, but you know what really baffles me? What on earth happened to this next Disney feature? Remember on June 28th when there was a brief moment where everyone thought the annual pass holder dry spell had finally ended? Though the Pixie Dust Pass, i.e. the least expensive yet most restrictive annual pass option available for Florida residents only, has been available even after the other 3 tiers went away starting last November, 2 of those tiers returned to the Disney World website for like 5 seconds: the Sorcerer Pass and the Pirate Pass. Sure, these were also only for Florida residents, but the fact that these middle tier passes had returned for one bright and shining moment gave guests hope that all the passes would be available once again. And then, gone. They disappeared from the site. As it turns out, this sudden annual pass reveal was just a website glitch, and Disney never meant for the passes to go live again. Now, if you're considering grabbing an annual pass the next time they magically reappear on the Disney World website, and maybe actually stay there, keep in mind that if you're an out-of-state resident, the only option you'll be able to purchase is the most expensive one, the Incredipass. That's about $1,299 plus tax per ticket holder, and because there's no finance plan for out-of-state residents, you'll have to pay for your pass in full at the time of purchase. So make sure to study up on what the Incredipass has to offer and see if that expense will be worth your while. Annual passes did go on sale for a short time in 2021, remember, between August and until November 21st. So as we get closer to that particular time frame in 2022, we'll be keeping our ears to the ground just in case these passes go live again. In the meantime, you can check out our Truth About Annual Passes video on the DFB YouTube channel to get a super in-depth scoop on all the different pass tiers, what their pros and cons are, and the sticky controversies weaved throughout the Disney pass holder story. Now, this next brain teaser just goes to show you never know what weird decisions Disney's going to come up with next. I'm always excited to see a new festival return to Epcot so I can try all the things. But in the case of Epcot's Food and Wine Festival, we have to settle for almost all the things. Last year, Epcot tried a different tactic for food and wine. Instead of opening all the food booths on the festival's kickoff day, it released them in 2 parts. A portion of the booths opened right off the bat, while the second group opened at a later date. And this year, Epcot's doing it again. 5 of the food and wine booths were initially scheduled to open on August 15th, including Coastal Eats, Hawaii, Mac and Eats, the Noodle Exchange, and Brew Wing. But heads up, Brew Wing opened on day 1, just like they did last year, bucking the system. And we were very lucky that our buddy Dustin and our former reporter Tina were able to cover that booth because Dustin takes an awesome picture with a bunch of wings. You can go to our Instagram and see him. He's really, really fun. Now, though the other 3 Epcot festivals open all their food booths at once on the same day, because that would make sense, Food and Wine continues to shake things up. But why the split? Well, this feels like another way for Disney to reignite a flame of interest during a rather long festival. Since Food and Wine runs from July 14th until November 19th, a good chunk of the festival happens during the predicted non-peak season. Oh, now there's an interesting topic, so we're going to talk about that next. But could this be a way for Disney to get people excited about returning to Epcot even after they're in the middle of an already established festival? Maybe, or maybe they just don't have the staff to staff all the booths. I don't know. This remains a mystery. And we're going to keep working on it. But in the meantime, we've got some pro tips for you for the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, which I hope you get to visit. There's also a lot of confusion over why many of the food and wine events haven't returned this season either. You know, those special events like Party for the Senses. Well, we still don't have Party for the Senses back, which always had over 50 bonus tasting stations you could try for an extra cost. And the cheese seminars seem to have gone away too, as well as one of our favorite festival offerings, the Mexican tequila lunch, and of course, that incredibly good deal, the Parisian breakfast. Now, the Sunday Brunch with the Chef series, where you could dine with a celebrity chef, that's put on pause until further notice. Same goes for culinary workshops and the special meal options. They used to happen at many of the different pavilions. Now, none of these have returned since the COVID closures, and there's no sign or word of them coming back. So we will definitely keep an ear to the ground and keep asking our cast member friends if those are going to come back anytime soon. But for now, the festival is pretty much just the booths. Now, though I'm glad we've still got the Eat to the Beat concert series going strong, many of those premium extra events are what gave Food and Wine that extra sparkle. There are so many ways to completely dominate your Food and Wine Festival trip. Trust me, the team and I have worked really hard on creating a whole 2022 DFB Food and Wine guide with all the different tips and tricks, which you can totally order today at dfbstore.com. But for now, I'll just name a few of my favorites. I've talked about bringing a tray to carry all your different festival foods in case you order multiple items at a single booth and run out of hands to juggle them all. By the way, I Instacarted a 14 by 10 inch tray from a restaurant supply store, and it was perfect. So very easy to pick up a tray. But I'm also going to suggest maybe bringing along, wait for it, museum putty. Why? Because this is food and wine we're talking about, meaning you're going to be carrying multiple drinks that you'll also need to get on your tray. Now, museum putty is going to keep your plastic wine glasses on your tray as you're walking around so nothing accidentally spills as you're trying to find a table, especially when it comes to those flutes, those wine flutes and those champagne flutes, because I will admit I am not a clumsy person, but I have spilled mimosas all over other people by accident when I mismanaged my tray. So it definitely happens, museum putty. Next tip, it is horrifically hot in Orlando right now. I have tested out 2 relief options. First, those little personal air conditioners that you put around your neck and they run a fan on you. And I've also tested out those cooling towels that you douse in cold water. The winner for me, very surprisingly, the cooling towel. You can fill up your water bottle at Regal Eagle or Sunshine Seasons with ice water and continue to douse your cooling towel all day. But those personal AC thingies, they are bulky, they're heavy, and they run out of battery really quickly. So I'm gonna go with a cooling towel all day long. Next tip, pick up a free festival passport book, which can be found at multiple locations in the park. It's free, it tells you where everything is, and it has stickers. And lastly, if you want to know about the must-eats of the Food and Wine Festival, according to DFB Pros, we've got our Best of the Fest YouTube video out now, so make sure to check it out when you get the chance. Now, I can handle a 2-part Food and Wine Festival, but this next point I was blindsided by, and I think you were probably too. Where in the world did this year's down season go? There's always been a crowd pattern that we've been able to rely on in the past for Disney World. After the holiday season wraps up, guests return to their houses and Disney's first down season of the year commences. Only this year, it didn't. This year, the crowds kept going and going and going. Like, the lack of lower crowds was mind-boggling for us. And this pattern continued through the spring break season and on into summer, which we always expect to be busy. So where did the downtime go? While we were trying to find Disney hotels earlier in the season and finding a lot of them to be booked up solid, we were informed by online cast members in the help chat that lots of guests were rebooking previously canceled or postponed vacations lingering from 2020. So a lot of the influx came from people just being ready to experience the parks after things started to feel semi-normal again. So basically revenge travelers. So will these heavy crowds continue throughout the other non-peak season we can usually rely on from late August throughout September? Possibly no, but not because people are sick of traveling. More so because A, kids and teachers are going to be starting the new school year, and B, traveling for lots of us is just getting way too expensive and complicated right now. The inflation of gas prices and hotel stays and many everyday essentials is starting to take its toll on wallets. And also don't forget, those flight costs are high and there's tons of delays and cancellations. In fact, we've already started seeing a dip in some of Disney's wait times as we get closer to the end of summer. After the 4th of July, Space Mountain and Magic Kingdom started seeing peak wait times of 46 minutes, which is pretty low. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad maxed out at 35, and Dumbo the Flying Elephants line was only 12 minutes long. And we also saw the longest wait times for Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Epcot cap off at a little under an hour, and Kilimanjaro Safaris over in Disney's Animal Kingdom never got above 40 minutes. Now again, these aren't the normal wait times you're going to see from here on out. Wait times change daily, but it is interesting to start to see some of these endlessly long wait times start to give way. Now let's talk some pro tips on this one. Just because the parks are busy doesn't mean they can't be managed. The best times to hit up the more popular rides are at rope drop or in the last hour or so of the evening. And of course, if you're staying at a Disney-owned resort or one of the select Good Neighbor hotels, you'll have access to early theme park entry, which allows you to get into any of the parks 30 minutes before they open. If you're staying in a deluxe resort, you'll also have access to extended evening hours for select parks on select days. But heed the warning of one traveler, myself, who booked a deluxe resort to take advantage of extended evening hours one night and was thwarted when the hours were 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and my 8-year-old passed out at 9 p.m. Now, many times you're going to see lines for rides hit their peak around early afternoon, which is a good time for you to take it easy. Hit up some of the less popular attractions or grab a bite to eat. Or in some cases, you might want to escape the parks entirely for a bit and come back when things get less hectic. You don't have to, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's definitely an option you can consider. Here are a few different escape routes you can take if the parks are a little too squished for your liking. If you're at Magic Kingdom, go explore the monorail loop and hit up Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, Contemporary Resort, and Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. I can highly recommend the macaroni and cheese at Gasparilla Island Grill. Now, many times resorts will also have early afternoon activities going on, but these will potentially cost you $10 or more, but you'll be able to make a craft you can take home as an extra souvenir. And you don't even have to be staying as a guest at any of those hotels to participate. If you're at Hollywood Studios or Epcot, try riding the Disney Skyliner and checking out resorts like Disney's Caribbean Beach, Riviera, and Art of Animation. Or you can check out the Epcot area resorts, which are within walking distance of Epcot's International Gateway. Remember that new restaurants are opening at the boardwalk soon, and the deli is even coming this summer. Disney's Animal Kingdom is a little trickier to escape, though you totally can. You just have to do so via car or Disney bus. However, Animal Kingdom has many hideaways for you to access within the park itself, which is why it's one of my personal favorites to visit. You can explore one of the walking trails, sit next to the river at Nomad Lounge, or even take a little getaway over to Rafiki's Planet Watch to pet some animals, draw some pictures, and learn about wildlife care. Y'all know Animal Kingdom is my therapy park. Now, should I make a t-shirt that says that? Animal Kingdom is my therapy park? Probably. And this is a perfect springboard into our grand finale. Is the fuzzy tauntaun gone for good? Well, Disney likes to pretend everything's a-okay, but sometimes everything is not okay, especially when it comes to supply chain issues. This year, we've seen many menu items come, go, return, and leave again thanks to food shortages and shipping issues from suppliers. Turkey shortages led to the removal of the special 50th anniversary Monte Cristo sandwich from Magic Kingdom and changed the menu at Garden Grill and Epcot. And an issue getting the flour used in the fuzzy tauntaun at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge led to the drink being pulled from the menu as Disney attempted attempts to find alternative ingredients to pull off the same mouth-numbing effect as that buzz button tingling foam. FYI, we've heard they're expecting a shipment soon, so join our newsletter. We'll be sure to let you know when it's back because we literally check every single day, and that's not an exaggeration. The shortage of non-tainted peanut butter impacted Gideon's Bakehouse's entire limited edition menu for May, meaning no peanut butter crunch, no peanut butter chocolate swirl, and I still can't get those squeezy Jif things in the store. If you can, please let me know because I need a hookup. And we also saw menu items disappearing due to shortages of ketchup and chicken tenders, which is my personal nightmare. But it wasn't just food that was impacted by shortages, it was also merchandise. Epcot's Scavenger Hunt Festival prizes were severely delayed, meaning guests got some interesting alternative rewards like pin lanyards and kitchen sink ice cream bowls. And we just last week took pics of a Mickey Topiary plush that was supposed to launch in March with the Flower and Garden Festival and had just arrived in time for the Food and Wine Festival. For a while, the Droid Depot in Disney's Hollywood Studios was lacking the building parts to make an R2 droid, leaving guests with only being able to build BB droids. And drop in the comments if you're an R2 fan or a BB fan. And even misting fans, bubble wands, and certain magic bands experienced times when they were totally gone. According to the New York Times, this disruption in regular supply distributions dates back to early 2020 when certain factories across the globe were hit by the spread of COVID-19. So these factories had to call it quits or were forced to reduce their production to combat the situation. And naturally, that caused a domino effect. So shipping companies had to reduce schedules and companies had to either increase their prices, stop selling certain items, or a sticky mixture of both. And Disney had to make major adjustments, just like everyone else. So how do you battle this? For every one food or drink that goes off the Disney World menus, a dozen others are added, and Disney cycles through menu items often, not just because of quantity and pricing issues, but because they want to keep their menus fresh and offer new seasonal options. So the best thing you can do to keep from getting disappointed over disappearing menu items is to jot down a bunch of different options featured on current Disney World menus. Use this as an opportunity to bond with the fam. Get together for a planning night and look at menus, or your DFB guide, wink wink, dfbstore.com. Use code YouTube for a discount. By the way, it comes with printable worksheets just for this purpose, so that y'all can be prepared with your plan B, C, and D to make sure you always have something great to look forward to. As far as merchandise is concerned, well, make sure to purchase merchandise essentials like misting fans or hand sanitizer before your trip to A, avoid them being sold out entirely, or B, avoid them being way too overpriced because of the supply and demand issue. If you come across a souvenir you really, really love, especially one of the more popular souvenirs like ears or Starbucks mugs or limited edition merchandise, then you probably don't need to wait before purchasing. I hate that advice because I'm someone who likes to give myself a couple days to think over what I want to buy before committing, but when supply issues can be this iffy, you might find yourself out of luck if you wait too long. And the Shop Disney website might be able to help you out too. Not only will Shop Disney feature Disney World products, but they might also be highly discounted if you happen to be cyber shopping when a big sale or promotion is going on. And we'll let you know on our website if that's happening. Okay, now it's time to vote. Which one of these issues do you think is the biggest concern? Let me know in the comments along with your BB-R2 preference, because that is of significant importance to me because I had a favorite locked in and now I think I'm changing my mind. And keep checking back here for more Disney news and updates, even the confusing ones, because we are going to figure this out together. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.